looks at all things fandom and pop culture through the lens of social science and experience. I'm your host, Forward Progress, and joined with me is my co-host, Miss Nova Rose.
Hello, hello.
Today we are delighted to have a wonderful guest with us, who I've known for, years through the con scene now, I guess. You've seen her along with us doing some Equestria's Next Top Artist. You've also seen them on Twitch doing some wonderful streaming, doing all kinds of wonderful things with pins. Techycutie, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everyone.
Wonderful to have you. And I mentioned it a little bit in the intro there, but part of the reason we invited Techie on today is our topic of conversation today involves all things VTube and VTubers. So we're going to get right into it. And I'll tell you, I'm going to tell both of you this, and this is kind of an interesting anecdote I saved for this, where I really did not know what VTubers or VTube in general, however you want to phrase it, meant until one night Rose here was watching YouTube in the other room, and I come in and she's watching some video, and I don't even remember what it was, but there was a little anime girl in the corner, and I had no idea what she was watching, and I don't know who it was, but it was some VTuber. And I think what I said to you was, now your waifu or become life.
I think it might have been Coco, because I think I was watching her first.
So yeah, now I've had to learn a lot since then, but it's one of the interesting things because obviously, Techie, you are a pony VTuber.
Yes, I am. I am literally a horse on the internet.
Though I feel like there's a lot of people in the brony community that would strive to just exist as a horse on the internet.
It's a crazy talking horse.
Well, I have reached nirvana when it comes to that.
So, I'll start here. So, obviously, VTubers have become a ever-increasing kind of pop culture phenomenon, I would say, lately here, that seemingly has kind of grown out of more traditional. I'd say a lot of it grew out of traditional Let's Play type channels, but it's really branched off in that here. So I'll start by asking you kind of what was your inspiration to get into saying, hey, I want to do this VTube thing?
So over the past few years, I've been watching people creating stuff with Live 2D, which is the 2D software that you use to make the avatars. In 2017, I made a body of a character that was like a prototype. It wasn't Pony at the time because I also wasn't known as Techycutie back then, and I was just streaming just randomly, just commissions and stuff, and I just didn't like using a webcam, but people wanted to talk to me and stuff, so I just felt weird to be a disembodied voice. Originally I had just a character in the corner just sitting there. At some point I even had it where it was just a gif of her talking with her mouth just opening and closing, but it was just it just keeps going, it's going bop, 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 bop all the time, even if I'm not talking. And then I found out about Live 2D through a contest they were holding, where you would take this model that they had of Hatsune Miku, and you would make a video with it and submit it for this contest. And if you submitted for the contest, they would send you the official manual for Live 2D. So I have the Live 2D manual in Japanese. I cannot speak Japanese, but back then I was like, I can learn from pictures. There's a lot of pictures, but it's a lot of small pictures. So knowing Japanese would have really helped back then. The first character I made was an anime character. She's like a robo bunny thingy. She's horrible. I hate it.
Aww.
It has not aged well at all. I I think I posted about it on my Twitter sometime this year where I was like, "Hey, it's so wild to look back and see this and compare it to what I've done now." Um, I don't know if I still have that tweet somewhere or if I deleted it out of just anger because it was just like, "I hate this thing," because artists, we
Ugh.
be like that sometimes. Um, but back in 2017, I technically made my VTuber debut. So I was using that. It was half of a character, like not the whole body of a character, it was just half of her. And all she could do was move her head maybe like a tiny bit to the left and right and move her mouth and blink.
Mm-hmm.
So, after a while I stopped streaming and I just started like doing like art stuff on Twitch here and there because I had conventions and conventions take a lot of time out of my schedule. So I couldn't just schedule a time slot every single week anymore. And I was doing conventions full time back in like 2017. And I just started to get tired of it because no one was showing up. And I just didn't feel like talking to myself while drawing publicly. So
Mm-hmm.
I just took a long break. And then last year, around like August, I started streaming a little bit here and there again. And I was like, man, I really miss this. And I don't have conventions to do anymore. So I would really love to do this again. And then I was watching tons of Hollow Live at the time. So it's
Mhm.
like, you know what? I have that manual still. And there's tons of new like tutorials in English and stuff. I could totally figure this out. So I was like, hey, let's make an anime character. Let's do that. I made a 3D anime character of like what my human version of Techie looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Um in Vroid Studio, which is a free program that you can use to make 3D human models. It's basically you paint the textures on like the outfits that they provide and you can model the hair. And it's very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't like make like a pony. You can't make like a furry. You can't make anything except for a human, which is, you know, at the time I was like, yeah, I'll just be a human. It's fine. Um but I felt like it was like completely out of like character for me to just go back to that after like going full into pony, and I was just like, I just need to go and make a pony.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of last year, I was like, what? I'm gonna become a horse. I don't care. All of these people are doing like wild stuff. Like, um, there's like robot girls. There's like cat girls. There's dragon girls. I'm like, I'm gonna be the first horse.
Yeah, because I
So
know I know you watch was it Gura's a Shark Girl, right?
Yep.
And
yeah, yeah.
you've told me about some other ones out there that are awfully interesting.
Mhm.
I guess that's one of the great things about something of this nature though would be a that now you can take on this interesting character that maybe you wouldn't feel like you could embody it in real life.
Although it's interesting
Mhm.
because I've noticed a couple of the V Shoujo girls, what was it, Silverveil, and Iron Mouse. I guess I don't know if they changed programs or what, but like their mouth tracking is absolutely incredible.
So the magic behind that, let me grab it, is iFacial mocap. It's a program that you can get through the iPhone App Store. It is like it uses the new facial tracking software that they use for like stuff like Hollywood productions.
Hmm.
So like you can like scrunch your face up and it like does it with the character. It's so
Wow.
wild. It can track your face and convert it to blend shapes. So basically, you want to make your model have like a ton of different blend shapes, which makes the mouth move exactly in the way that you want it to.
That's it's
It's,
uh,
it's incredible.
yeah, it really does boggle my mind how far we've come with that because I want to say just about 2 years ago, a good friend of ours was getting very much into VR and doing VR chat, these things in VR chat that
Mhm.
were just blowing our mind. And then within the last couple of months, I've seen all of this on VTube where I'm like, this kind of virtual reality is becoming this more normalized, more, just kind of like out there in the public in a much quicker fashion than I think I ever would have anticipated.
Yeah, and even like now, I believe at the beginning of the year, um, they announced like a Vive lip tracking module. So you just connect it to your Vive and it'll track your lip syncing to your character. So that's pretty cool too. So like
Definitely.
even with yeah, with VR, we're like even making leaps and bounds and it's amazing. Like I was just looking up the other day, I was like, "Oh, I have an Oculus Quest 2 and like I really want to take it to the next level where I can like have like full body tracking." And they're just like, "Yeah, we make like foot like wear where it just syncs up and like you can walk around and it's these shoes." And I'm like, "What the heck?" So I'm like, I don't even need like like trackers now. And like apparently I believe which company is it? Someone made their trackers even smaller with higher battery capacity and they just announced them for release like next month. And I'm like, whoa.
Future investments.
I
Yeah.
know. I was gonna say you're taking notes on all this, aren't you, Rose?
Yes.
Well, and the other interesting thing here, because I know you draw on streams. So, what all does a typical stream for you entail for anybody who hasn't watched your streams?
So a typical stream for me is kind of different than a lot of what people do, like in the idea of like, I'm going to watch this person on Twitch stream. So, what I like to do because I'm primarily like in the fandom, like a vendor, and like I do stuff with like conventions and stuff. Like, I currently just got upgraded to position of art team lead at Ponyfest online.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes, indeed.
so I have like things like I can talk about when it comes to like the fandom and like conventions and stuff. So what we'll do is on Fridays we have like a chill and chat kind of thing where we can sit around and talk. I'll talk about like stuff that I'm planning or new merch that I want to work on, or like talk about snowballing ideas with people in the chat and stuff. And I'm planning on implementing soon that I want to do streams maybe once a month where I have people um, design a product with me. I think that would be fun. I have no idea. I'm so new to like gaming on a
Mm-hmm.
stream that it just kind of like it's really hard. Like it people think I can boot up OBS, slap my game on there and my webcam and just sit there and play a video game and I'll make money. And that's really not how it works at all. It's just it's I don't know how people do it sometimes. It's very
Yeah.
I don't know, it just blows my mind that like
There's
you work.
definitely an art to it, I think. You'd have to say, because part of it too is, if you're going to do something along those lines of gaming and let's play, you have to you have to simultaneously find a voice and a direction for how you want your content to go, because you have that, are you going to be more comedy, are you going to be more, this is kind of a
Mhm.
walkthrough of the game or serious commentary on the game. But then you also have to develop that skill of being able to have discussions while focusing on gameplay, which is a skill that I I haven't figured out yet if I'm gonna have it or not. We're going to find out. I know.
Well, our one friend calls it, what was it, the Let's Player tax?
Let's Player tax. Yes, that you have to pay into the Let's Player tax, meaning that you have to take a portion of your focus to making the content interesting, and that focus then is pulled away from your ability to play the game in the way you normally would. So it creates an interesting balance within there. And props to those who can do it. There's some people who are amazing with it that, I think we all kind of have our favorites at this point, or channels that we watch. I'll be honest, at first I didn't get it at all. And I know this is going to make me sound like the old fuddy of the fandom. And guess what? Sometimes I am. But when Let's Plays became a thing, I was very much like why would I sit down and watch somebody else play a game when I could play it myself? That was very much it. And it took a while. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I don't watch that many, but I have a few. And they're usually, for me, it's very much more comedy based, in a sense of where I'm watching it more for the entertainment value of the comedy and the discussion that's going on around the game than really for the game itself, is where I found myself. But granted, that's not to say that there's nothing wrong with other people doing everything. And I think a lot of people who have started even in Let's Plays have grown into a myriad of other avenues. I mean, you look at people like Markiplier, for example, who just had one crazy year of Unis Honest. So, but that's the type of thing that is possible now, I think, in this modern age. And granted, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of effort to get there. And I think to what you were saying, Techie, about it's not as simple as you boot up OBS and you just start playing.
And I see a lot of like newcomers to like just streaming in general, and also like VTubing, like it goes hand in hand, is feeling that frustration when you first start out, because you're just like, no one's coming to my streams, and I don't feel like I'm succeeding or feeling fulfilled by doing this. And like for some people, streaming is just not really for you, and maybe you should take the art of VTubing to something like a Let's Play, or using it for podcast. I don't know, like there's so many different things that you can do with VTubing that doesn't have to be streaming or just playing games and stuff too. So I want to like let people know that that feeling of discouragement, like it's a natural process. Like I don't know, it's something that you have to build up over time. And like I remember like my first like few years of streaming, like even back before Twitch even existed. Like I'm dating myself here, right? Before Twitch existed, it was Justin.tv. And like when you streamed art stuff on there, they would kick you off the platform because it's for games, not for anything else. And back then it was really frustrating to find a home for that kind of thing. But now that it's evolved into such a platform that like basically has a spot for literally anything that you could possibly imagine, all we're waiting for is that VTuber category, or that
I think it's
hashtag.
inevitable. Yeah,
we need it. I would also be more than happy if they would let us put more than one category on our stream. So yeah, I'm just chatting, but I'm also playing this on the other side, Like I feel like that would be really nice, because like some of us, like I'll watch VTubers and they'll just pause the game and just chill for a little bit. And there's like no way of telling people besides just with the tagging system that like it's a chill, like no backseat gaming, just chill. We're just here to chill. But it's just like we have people who come in and are like, oh, you're playing this wrong, or self-promoing and all this stuff. It gets very the streaming scene is very, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask
Like,
you, or did you have something, Rose?
Oh, just what I was saying. Like, I know moderators are super important for to make sure
yes.
you.
Oh, definitely. I mean that's going to be in anything in that capacity where you have so many people that like you have the potential for so many eyes to be on you at once with anything like that. But the same thing goes for, I mean, a big thing here from over this last year is how many online conventions we've done and making sure of moderating the chats that go on in there and everything. Now, kind of where my mind was going here is I wanted to ask you, Rose. So, you obviously have started watching a lot of VTubers. So, kind of taking in what Techie was just saying there is, what are you looking for as an audience member of when you go, what are you looking for in a VTuber that you would be interested in watching?
I think for me, it's a lot of just fun banter because I know there is a couple that like they have good moments, but like I've tried like just sitting and like watching their stream, but then it's like like I'm gonna go watch, you know, like say like Gura for a little while because like she always says some strange things.
There's now I want to go a little bit on this because one of the interesting things about VTubers and the VTuber community is you're essentially, I shouldn't say everybody, but you can essentially portray a character. You can portray a role within this here because last time I checked, you weren't a horse in real life, I don't think. You weren't last time I saw you anyway. But now, if you figured out the transformation, then we got to call Choco Pony and be like, we found somebody who figured out TF finally.
Is Techie secretly a changeling?
They'll never tell. But no, and I think a lot of what I've seen you watch, Rose, I feel is a lot of people portraying characters. Mm-hmm. On those streams, like things in HoloLive and such, and not everybody, because I feel like some of them, and I don't want to say that they're not being some just people just aren't being genuine, but I feel like some people are just being more natural themselves, and some people are more getting into a role or a character. So is that something that you feel like? I feel like the avenue allows for that, but is that an interesting thing as an audience member of watching something and never really knowing?
It's interesting because it's like it kind of also brings up something that the VTuber Kiara brought up, where I guess in one of the streams, like she was getting flack for, you know, doing this weird baby voice and swearing a lot. But then it's like, for me, it's like I am just happy when the VTuber is having fun and not like trying to restrict themselves unnecessarily. I think that's why I definitely gravitate towards like say like Nanners or Snuffy, because they're kind of giant gremlins and I love that. For lack of better word.
I was gonna say, like, I assume you mean that in the best way possible.
Oh, of course. Like they're just being like super genuine, just like I'm just gonna say whatever flows out of my mouth. It's just like I like that instead of like having to like I love HoloLive, but a big problem I have with HoloLive is like they try to be too say so and just like try to go hold that idol standard, which is just like it's okay. I'm glad that like Coco kind of like breaks that mold, but for the most part, it's just like it's not as interesting for me.
Real quickly, for anybody who is unfamiliar with the term, do you want to explain "say so" to the audience?
Oh yeah, say so is like Japanese for pure.
So very kind of pure of heart, nothing adult, quote unquote, content.
Yeah, they're more child friendly.
Although from what I've seen from streams from you, it's one of those things where it almost plays with that idea more than it lives up to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It portrays it in a way where it's like, hey, we're gonna play with this idea. of what it means. I don't know. And granted, you watched this more than me, so a lot of this, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this episode, and I knew this going in, was gonna be me asking you guys questions and me being the outsider. But that's fine, because this is how we learn.
Yeah, yeah. What better way to go through like something like this than to not know very much and know exactly what to ask? You know,
Yeah.
it's like perfect.
Yeah. So so let me ask you that then, Techie, of when you went into this, and now first of all, is your what you use for your avatar now, has that been your OC, or was this like a more recent creation?
So Taki has been like an ever evolving character over time. She originally was human. So like my lore is that she's a human that can shapeshift
Ooh.
into whatever type of fandom creature she would need for like say like if she was in Sonic, she'd be like a cat girl or whatever. But like in Pony, she's like the same but like pony. So basically her lore is that she lives in Canterlot and she built her house, and because of the events of Equestria Girls, she found out that she had a portal to the human world in her house, in her basement. So she
Ah.
can just go wherever she pleases. So she just does her own thing.
That's actually pretty cool.
I like that.
So,
Mhm.
but
My OC was originally gray with brown hair and a star on her butt, and that was it. And like that was like peak 2012 like OC design,
mm,
like evolving to like whatever. Cuz like I wanted to have like this cute rainbowy like aesthetic character, but like back then people on like DeviantArt and stuff would yell at you if your character was like rainbowy and puke rainbow vomit, and I'm just like I'm old now and I don't care.
there's a
I did my
beauty to
time.
that. Yeah, no, there's definitely a beauty to that, and I think that's the best thing, because I don't know, like in the early days of the Keeping Friendship Magic project, I remember I wrote a whole blog about OC creation, and about like at the end of the day, if it makes you happy and you're not
Mhm.
like doing something with your OC to like harm anybody else or shame anybody else, let people have their OC. Let them eat their cake and have their OCs. You know?
It's funny because now we actually do know a gray pony with brown hair.
Oh goodness. Yes, we do. Oh goodness, Thoth, we love you. So I didn't even think about that, but that's
Yeah.
so him. It's so him.
It works for some people,
Well,
but like I
yeah.
think what it was back then I was just like I have to make this character look like me. Like she's got to have brown hair. And I was just like, why does she have to have brown hair? And then I dyed my hair pink in real life and I was just like, well, my pony's got to go through an overhaul now.
Hmm.
So she became pink and purple and I was just like now she's like Twilight Sparkle, so I don't care.
Since this is kind of your OC character that's on display on your streams, how much of it do you feel personally that you are just portraying yourself, or how much of it do you feel you need to put on a little bit of that air of the role of the character?
So because people have seen me in real life, I don't think I could go through with the whole like, all right, I'm a horse and you can't see me ever again. Like, I don't think that works like that. I think I'm one of like the weird enigmas where it's like, hey, like Nanners, where like she was streaming like as a human person before. So it's just like it's that weird enigma where it's like you've been seen in public as a person and your name is linked to both your identity as a person and your VTuber. So it's I try to be genuine. I like to play it up a little bit because it's just for the fun, you know?
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I just like to stay like genuinely me. I was originally going to like make my character just be herself in this stream and this space. But I kind of lost it after 5 minutes, and I was just like, this isn't fun to just pretend to be my character when I could just be genuine.
I think that there's like, and I guess that's an interesting thing, and a really interesting point you brought up. And Rose, I know you wasn't. I want to say there was a video that you had seen or something where somebody had gone and was like, "Oh my gosh, I found this person in real life, and this is what they actually look like."
Oh, Calliope, I think.
Okay, yeah. So I like, is that one of these things that gets tough now in this kind of modern era where you have characters, but it's kind of one of those things, and this is an odd comparison, I know, but it's the best one I have. Our good friend Kermit is very big into wrestling, where people are partially themselves and partially a character.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of becoming more and more of a thing now. So what does that do now where you have that offshoot of reality, and I feel like it's a little bit different in the brony community than it would be in others, but what do you observe from kind of what you've seen in VTube communities of that? Is it are people able to accept that, like, these are real people behind the character, or is it getting hard for people to kind of bridge that gap?
I noticed one thing that I see a lot in comment sections is like, oh, this is just a guy using a voice changer. I see that so much, and it's infuriating.
I mean, I have an answer to that. So what if it is? But
I see both answers to that, where it's like some people are just like, I don't care. We know we don't care.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing of like if I expect when I see an animation that there is a person behind the animated character that is not the animated character.
Exactly.
And I guess is it blurring the lines more and more just because of the direct interaction piece, I guess, would be kind of where it's becoming now. Because it's not just like when you're watching a cartoon, like when we're watching My Little Pony, I know that, Yona is a character and Katrina Salisbury is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. So but then there's that thing where you have that kind of that blurring line of where does the character end and the person begin? Is that becoming like a harder thing, you think, in this kind of current time for people to tell?
I guess I don't.
I think because of COVID, the line is being blurred a little bit because we don't have that human interaction that we used to.
Mm-hmm.
At that level, where we would see people like myself at a convention, maybe even monthly. I feel like that line is definitely being blurred a little bit. I feel like after things start up again, people will start to probably clear up a little bit, but there's definitely characters that will never share their real identity, and there's no line to cross with that. But I feel like a lot of people assume that these characters are obliged to have their schedule and stream every single day, and the mental capacity of a human's very much not suited to that. So people's expectations are gonna
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was crazy because I know what was it? Kiara and Calliope went on a vacation, and it was they were freaking still streaming in the hotel, and I'm just like, guys, take a vacation. You don't have to do this.
Yeah, and Korone will stream for over 12 hours at a time sometimes, and I'm like, girl, go eat food.
I
just leave and eat food. I don't. Go to the bathroom. I don't know what you're doing.
I guess there's that thing. The interesting piece, and I kind of mentioned it here, is obviously when you're streaming, especially through channels like Twitch and such, you have the live chat, and there's kind of that expectation of the interaction between the chat and the streamer. So that's where things kind of partially get interesting here. And a term that we've been talking about a lot lately is this concept of parasocial relationships, where and it's happening much more frequently in our modern age of Twitch and YouTube and such, where people are maybe part character but a lot of themselves, and there's some light interaction maybe through that kind of chat to streamer interaction, or you post a comment and then they respond to your comment and such, where you start to feel like, as a fan, like you know the person without knowing the person. And it's hard, and it's getting harder to kind of where that line is drawn between like yeah, you feel like you know them, but do you really know them? So I know it's it's an interesting thing, because we thought about that recently, because I'm always of a mindset like, this is my little dog and pony show. I'm just a guy that one day dreamed, oh hey, the values of this show is really cool. We should make a project about bringing these values to the real world, and people should get along, and I'll make a thing and make panels. And I'm just like, I'm just a guy at the end of the day. That's the way I always look at it.
Just some freaking guy.
But then, like, I you know, but I also recognize the fact that, you know, we have done a number of these panels. We have done this podcast for over a year now. People have listened, have watched, and I've had it where people have asked to take a picture with me or got nervous talking to me, which always is the weirdest thing in the world to me. But it makes me start to think about, like, the more you're kind of out there, the more people will start to develop this persona of you. And I know for myself, one of my big things is I try to tend to be of that sense of, like, I'm just gonna be very open, and this is who I am, and, like, if I ever start to show a big head, somebody slap me. So
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think in the beginning, when I started vending in Pony, which is something I had wanted to do for a very, very long time, um, despite my, like, close friends back, like, when the show first started were like, "Oh, what's this BronyCon thing? That's so weird, blah, blah, blah." Or like, "Ew, furries are weird, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, I don't know, just fascinated by just, oh, there's other stuff besides, like, anime conventions and stuff. And like, oh man, I love My Little Pony. I would love to hang out with people my kind. But like, my friends were not into My Little Pony or any of that stuff. So it was like the loner in the group when it came to, like, pony stuff. So when I moved out and moved away from, like, my hometown, I started to realize that I had a lot more bronies around me than I first thought. Then I converted all of my current friend group into bronies. And then I'm just like, "Oh my goodness. Time to go to BronyCon, I guess. I've got to live it once at least." And 2017 I started going. I sold for my first time ever, and everything else is a distant memory.
So one thing, I want to kind of switch back here of something else that's been on my mind, because I know we brought up things like HoloLive and what is it? Is it V-Shoujo?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these kind of companies, I guess, that are developing where they have, like, a cast, I guess you would say. Is that how you would refer to it?
I mean, they're talent agents.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that, like, obviously, Techie, you know, you're doing your own thing. Is that something where I guess it's kind of that thing now of, like, it feels like it's in this interesting boat where you have, like, more the corporate end of things, but then you also have the individual, and it's like they're both kind of building up right now. So it's like I could see there being pros and cons to either.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to either. I see Hololive is very, very strict when it comes to stuff like that, um, where you can't really do everything that you want, and you can't really do the things that, like, Coco specifically struts the line with a lot of stuff. Um, Especially with like her like meme review thing and all that. She very much skirts the line of what the company probably allows her to do, which is why she probably has gotten in trouble multiple times before. Um, but also, um, they they popularized everything basically. I just it's hard because then you see like V Shoujo and you're like, they're allowed to do whatever the hell they want. It Manners can say whatever she wants on stream as long as it's not against Twitch terms of service. And even so, she also skirts the line a lot too. Which I mean, everyone's got their favorite like streamers, like, and like I don't know. I think it all just determines like the platform you're on. As long as you do not go over those terms of service for your platform, if you're an individual or in a company that allows you to do whatever you want, you're basically going to do whatever you want.
Mhm.
Whereas like V Shoujo has like V Shoujo doesn't have the head person looking over you and saying you have to do this thing, whereas Hololive is like you have to do this thing, you have to do this ad, you have to do this concert, you have to do this promo. You're bound to whatever they have for you to do, because in the end, for them, you're an idol. With V Shoujo, you're not. I don't know how to explain it more than that.
It's interesting because from what I've seen, it's kind of like a double edged sword, I guess. Because like on one end,
Mhm.
you are like say if you're a new like generation, like you basically have thousands and thousands of fans just right out the gate. Whereas if
Yes.
you're starting up by yourself, like you have to build yourself and promote yourself, which is difficult,
Well,
as we have found
Mhm.
out.
promotion is an interesting thing I want to touch upon because you have talked to me about seeing things on Twitter or various social media where there's essentially announcements that somebody is going to be an up and coming VTuber and they're being promoted and then they almost like never actually debut or something happens along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know what ends up happening where there's the pre-debut VTubers that just starts crap on Twitter and then doesn't actually end up ever debuting for some reason. I don't know.
Because I know I've heard you talk about it, and I guess that's becoming like a thing in the community where it's building a hype machine for a product that isn't ever going to exist, or
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like a lot of the people who do that are scared to make that first attempt.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um I feel like a lot of people will make their stream setups and stuff, and they'll get their model and they'll start doing the whole uh little mini review, like previews of like, here's my feet, like and retweet, and I'll give you my thighs, you know. And I I don't know. I don't like that personally. Um I feel like it kind of breeds that like bad social like media standard that you like have to have like people backing you right away and like building that like that movement before you even like attempt, and it's like building that hype for something that you should already be doing.
Yeah.
Like, it stings because I know there's one pre-debut VTuber that I've been following. What was it? Small and Strong. Like, he seems so interesting because it's like a cute little cat boy that's just like I don't really follow any like male VTubers, and it's just like I want to see what you do.
You know, I want to speak for a moment about kind of the idea of the following or wanting to build the following. Um, it's the number one thing I've learned is, in my experience anyway, is just start doing what you want to do and what you like.
Mhm.
The very first panel I ever did at a convention, I believe we had about 4 people in the audience, and 3 of them were my friends.
Yep.
So, if that says anything, you know, like it's it was a little disheartening in the moment, granted, but we did the whole presentation. We put it on. We and I just kept on going, and I went, you know what? I like what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. If I keep doing it, maybe we'll find an audience. And, you know, and like here we are all these years later. And granted, it's not like I have a, you know, the hugest following in the world, but I at least feel like, you know, I'm sending out a message and hopefully people are hearing it and enjoy something. Because it's, I reference this a lot, but there's the one episode of MLP that is, the Fame and Misfortune episode, where at the end of the episode, it's the one with the journal where it gets
Mhm.
reprinted out to everybody. And at the end of the episode, there's the 2 little fillies who are come in and they're like, thank you guys for doing what you did. You know, we really worked on our friendship because of you guys. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I feel like, at least for me, that's what it's all about. Is just at least
Mhm.
touching somebody.
Yeah.
Like
I
doing
feel
what
that
you enjoy.
same way for sure. I remember when I first like made the pony VTuber and stuff, and I was like, because I still have under 1,000 followers on Twitch. Like, I don't have the biggest audience, and especially when I started out again, like I had maybe people who were coming from Twitter that were like, "Oh, I'm interested in what this pony VTuber thing is." Um, I believe my quote unquote debut stream, I had maybe like 20, maybe 30 people show up, which was completely out of my like capacity for my brain to understand, because I was streaming to like 5 people before, and I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, there's people who actually are interested in talking to me and interacting with me. And like, to me, that meant the world to me, because like I could just sit there and be like, oh, hey, I'm Dumb Horse. Click a button and it'll bonk me in the head. It's so funny. Um, but like, I don't know, it felt really wholesome and very it was just it was like my first experience with finding the community again,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it made me cry on stream.
Oh.
Oh, I've cried on stream at least twice. I'm very I'm very socially awkward in person, and I stutter a lot when I get really overwhelmed, and uh like, even being able to talk today, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually talking today," because I've been streaming and stuff, that, it's kind of starting to become second nature for me. Um, but, I had someone bombarded me with a bunch of, uh, gift subs, and I just started crying
Oh,
because I didn't know
wow.
how to process it mentally, because I was just like, I'm just here to be stupid horse. Like, I'm just here to be stupid rainbow horse. I don't know why I'm being given like a loving community and like people enjoy me. I don't know. It's still something that I'm trying to grasp personally, but I think I should just embrace and go with it and not think about it too much, because like I feel like that also kind of like slows you down, because you're just like, I don't feel worthy. I should stop. And it's like, no, you should do the things that make you happy. And if sitting in front of a camera and being a stupid purple unicorn bopping back and forth and getting bonked and pat on the head is the funnest thing for your week, then you should.
Definitely. How is it? Let me ask you this quickly. I'm trying to keep an eye on time because I think we're starting to run low, but I want to try and get a couple other things in here. Of how is it for you balancing what's coming in on the chat with what you're doing on stream? Is that a challenge for you ever, or like how do you mentally kind of prepare yourself for balancing what you're doing on the stream with what's coming in on the chat?
So it is definitely something that I'm working on. Um, I'm very bad at paying attention to multiple things at once, even though I'm also really good at multitasking. I don't understand how that works. I will watch, like, I was watching Bob's Burgers while listening to music while drawing today, and I don't know how I can do that, but not watch a chat, talk, and game at the same time. It hits different, I don't know, but it's definitely a challenge for me. I'm learning for sure. Um I've been trying to balance my streams with games that are very easy for me to just glance and talk,
Mm-hmm.
but also be entertaining enough for people to stay. I'm also balancing it with Fridays. I play a game called Marbles on stream,
I've
which
heard of
is
it. Yeah.
Thoth refers to it as the marble death race. So it's very entertaining. We just chat and there's like a countdown clock. People in the chat will put like the command in to play. Their marble will pop up on the thing, and I just let it go. And it's like a one of those marble track things. I don't know what they're called.
I know what
Rube
you're talking
Goldberg
about.
machine.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can't.
remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But the marbles all go down and they race to the basket at the end. And you can die, which is why Thoth calls it the death race. I think that's
That would
very
make sense
entertaining.
then.
We were blessed, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. I was I put we had marbles on stream going, and there was a track that was like a race track, and I was like, oh, we need Eurobeat music, so I'll play Eurobeat Brony Discord and it'll be great because I won't get a DMCA takedown for that.
Yeah.
So I actually summoned Eurobeat. He just showed up and I was like, yeah, we're like playing marbles. Here's your song. Hi. And I got really flustered and I was just like, what a time to come into the chat.
Wow.
It's funny because a similar thing happened to Snuffy recently, where he just appeared in chat.
It was funny too because I told her about the occurrence literally hours before the stream, and then that happened, and then after her stream ended, she was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh gosh. Is that what we need? We just need to start playing more Odyssey music around the apartment to just summon them.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Odyssey, if you're listening, you're always invited on the podcast.
What's up?
Much love.
We're just gonna play Discord, see if you show up.
I'll play Luna. I like Luna. Luna's a good song. I guess I'll wrap things up with this question here. Obviously, definitely it seems like there's an audience within the pony community for VTube, for VTubers and this to build from here. So, we talked a little bit about how you got into it there, but kind of to wrap things up here of if you were talking to somebody who's like, I kind of want to get into this now, kind of what advice would you give them to get them pointed in the direction here of being successful from your experience and you know, and kind of like how difficult do you think it would be for said person to just kind of like dive in?
So there's a lot of resources on like YouTube. If you just Google how to be a VTuber, there's tons of resources now when it comes to that. But when it comes to being like anything that's not an anime character, your options for like making a character are a little bit more complicated. What I've realized is that if you want to go the 3D route, you have to find someone who can make like either pony models or furry, because like the typical like anime 3D modelers are not going to know what to do with you. And I don't know. It's just it's hard when it comes to like 3D specifically. You have to find the person that like suits your needs the best. Um I know I'm getting a 3D model probably over the summer. Um I'm waiting for a wait list to clear up, but that's like another thing is VTubing has become so popular that wait lists are so long that you could be waiting up to like the following year for a rig.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, uh, if you are an artist, my recommendations are find out how to do the art for your rig. Make sure that you know exactly what you're doing when it comes to breaking down the artwork, and make sure it's very foolproof when it comes to how it's going to be rigged. And then find someone who just does rigging commissions because that'll be your fastest way to get something. Um, with 3D, if you know how to do 3D, the world is your oyster at that point because you literally just have to learn how to import it into, I believe, Unity and turn it into the format for I'm trying to remember what it is. VRM. You have to learn how to convert it to VRM, and as long as you know how to do that and make blend shapes for your mouth, you're basically set. Um, Creatives have a lot of control when it comes to making things to suit their needs. If you are not an artist, you're not a designer, you just want to stream, you play video games, you're like, I'm entertaining. It's going to be a lot harder for you to find something um than like someone who can literally make their layout and their art and their rig themselves without having to like contact someone and then pay $700 for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like Live 2D is a little hard to learn at first. I remember our first version of Techie was like a beta version we didn't even use for the stream. And I drew her looking to the side because I wasn't really like, I was trying to like figure out how the pony muzzle would work on like a face. Because like with anime, there's no features that like protrude compared to like a furry or like an animal or a pony where we have features protruding from all ends of our face. We've got
Yeah.
horns, we've got ears, we've got nose, like we have snoot. We have like so much going on with our face that it's a little bit different. Whereas like that kind of thing will translate super well with 3D and have a lot better control with 3D. Whereas 2D, it's so hard. I remember my first model that we debuted, I looked like a pig. Like my
Oh.
nose was up so high and it looked it looked pig-like. And I was like, I've got to fix this. It might not be today, but I'll figure it out. And I did. And now that I figured it out, everyone's just like, "Oh my god, cute horse." And I'm like, "Bleh."
It is, and like I just you have the one thing that threw me so off was in the best way possible that I was amazed. I was like, how do you keep doing these things? Was when you had the little drawing pen that was animated. I was like,
Yeah.
I I I I was just in shock. I was like, that's amazing.
So I I have the program VTube Studio, which I use for my character, and it uses iPhone face tracking, which
Mm-hmm.
is similar to the stuff that Snuffy uses for her like 3D rig, where it's using the same like kind of technology where it can like sense all of the features of your face when you move around. So my character is, I have it optimized for that kind of use compared to like people who would get like a rig made where the characters made for like a generic like face capture software, such as like Face Rig or its successor. I believe it's Annie something. I don't remember. I have it on my phone, but I can't find it. So, um, with when you have it optimized to fit your like needs, and you can personalize it over and over again and tweak it, you kind of have a lot more control over it. So I have optimized Techie at least 5 times to fit my needs when it comes to her face tracking and her uh extras that come with it. Like right now, her front hooves will move now. They used to shift side to side, but now they have like physics to them. Her ears are going to have like full physics, and they're going to twitch and stuff very soon. Um but the tablet pen, I figured out how to do that through VTube Studio. There's like a mouse input configuration, and it can sense where your mouse is on your monitor. So when I draw on my Cintiq, it captures the mouse input on the Y and X
Oh.
axis, and it moves it side to side in conjunction with the parameters that I've set.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Uh,
It's still just amazing to me, like all these different programs and technologies that have managed to develop to allow just all of this to come to fruition, you
mhm.
know?
And like back, like there's a reason why like I'll like go back and watch like I watch a lot of Hololive, but like I specifically watch a lot of Hololive, like the gamers girls,
Mhm.
so like Korone and Okayu and stuff. But they look a lot more dated compared to like newer VTubers that you see, because their stuff hasn't been optimized in like 2-3 years. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of saying with V Shoujo, like all getting upgrades. It's just like I wonder if Hololive is gonna follow suit. I
Well, I
mean,
guess I mean, that's
mhm.
like anything with technology, though. Technology is always evolving, so in one way or another, like at some point, you kind of have to like evolve with it. So,
mm,
um,
Mhm.
well, I would love to continue talking all night, but we are definitely needing to wrap up for our recording session, unfortunately. But Techie, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. It's been a delight to have you.
Oh, you're welcome. And if there's a demand for it, maybe we can do round two
Oh yeah,
if
I'm
people
yeah.
with
have
that.
questions.
I would not be opposed to this whatsoever. So, for those who don't already know, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm just Techie Cutie on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch. I'm basically Techie Cutie everywhere. um, I don't use my DeviantArt anymore. Don't even bother with that.
uh,
Yeah, Twitter is my most used platform. I do upload on TikTok occasionally with like cringe content. So if you're into cringe content, you can find me on TikTok at TechieCutie. Um, Other than that, if you want like good wholesome like horse bopping back and forth and holding a coffee cup and saying like pee pee poo poo and like making stupid faces, you can find me on Twitch at TechieCutie. Twitch.com
awesome.
slash TechieCutie.
Awesome. And Miss Nova Rose, thank you once again for being by my side for another wonderful episode.
As always, it's been a delight.
And where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Nova Roselia. I draw occasionally, and hopefully I'll be having more in the pipeline soon.
I know some of the things that you're looking to get started back up on, and I'm excited for the world to see what I've gotten to see. So stay tuned, world. And of course, I'm Forward Progress. You can always find me on Twitter at KeepFriendMagic. If you like what you hear from us, you can always subscribe to our lovely little podcast here wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us on YouTube. We now have our own custom YouTube URL.
Ooh.
That finally happened. So youtube.com/c/keeping friendship magic. Or if you really like what you hear, you can subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/KFM. If you want to get early access to content or access to the new vlog that we do exclusively on Patreon. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening and for joining us today. And everybody remember to keep friendship magic out there. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
A huge thank you to our patrons, SamuDash, Frenchie McHugh, Riftwing Designs, Statman Dan, and Jason Kuzmak. Without your support, this project wouldn't be possible.